Good morning. Good morning. I hope everybody's having a beautiful morning. And today we're going to talk about a special group of plants called adaptogens. I want to open up and read this little longevity about adaptogens. Adaptogens are botanical treasures, reverend for millennium for their longevity. These botanical agents provide the perfect antidote for a life-robbing deficiency created by the demands of modern life. These medicines are highly unique in that they offer safe, effective, health-promoting benefits to just about everyone, regardless of age or health status. I just loved when I found that about adaptogens. It so fit in. And so adaptogens help with stress. Stress is almost normal and necessary in parts of our life, but when and it's okay when it comes and it goes, it's nothing. But you know, we all get stressed and we stay, I call it, on that hamster wheel. However, if stress is constant companion, it can lead to serious health issues. And that's where it comes in, where I start looking at the adrenal cycle, and the adrenals are located on top of our kidneys. You probably heard of yoga, breathing exercises, meditation that can all help with stress. But what about plants? So here are the adaptogen plants, a special group based ingredients used for centuries to help people cultivate resilience of the negative symptoms of stress. We just almost, I'm going to call it, pride ourselves on stress, or how can we have the mindset of stress in this world today? I see it often in the way in which, let's see, change the things that you cannot. If you're in settings in Zoom, to change the things where anyone can share. Okay. Oh, somebody was just helping us to come in. So adaptogens, the way I look at them, and when we came into this term, or Greg created a company where we would have total adaptogens, one of the things that had been a part of his life was this total understanding of how a woman's body would go through so much stress of pregnancies, of hormonal changes, of the way in which once we have multiple babies, and, you know, we're not living on the earth like we used to. We're not, you know, eating the mineral foods that we used to. So therefore, the body just kind of gets depleted and hormones change a lot. Well, that's where the adaptogens come in. While the term of adaptogens is not widely known in the Western medicine, in Russia, medical circles, adaptogens are understood and defined as substances, mostly herbs, that increase stability against various unfavorable effects, promote prolapses, and normalizes function. The concept started about adaptogens in 1947, and it described the substance that may increase resistance to stress. The name adaptogens came into America, so it was based on the word, the mind, you know, it helps the mind and the body, and, you know, do what? Adapt. The 1970s is when it came to North America, and that's how it became known here in the United States. And I actually had the names of the different, okay, so in Chinese medicine, it's called a key tonic, so QI. In Ayurvedic medicine, it's Rasana. And then in Western medicine, it's called a nutritive tonic. And in rainforest herbal medicine, so that would be like in Peru and areas like that, it's called paratata, meaning heal all. So I love these terminologies, and I wanted to make sure to bring those and talk about them because of the simple fact that what I'm going to do now is go into the story of, we have a person who was diagnosed with ALS almost 10 years ago, I love his story because he talks about no white flags. That is his motto, and that's what he stands on. And so what I did was I brought in some of the names of single herbs that Mark actually started taking in 2014 that would turn around and change his situation of being in a wheelchair, on a ventilator, and having a decline in health coming around. So what ended up happening is that Mark would meet a person who was with Soul Naturals from the beginning. He would come to a conference in New Orleans, which was our first ever conference, and he would meet everybody with Soul Naturals and start on Soul Naturals that weekend. In 2015, what we did was we kind of made like a progression chart. So in 2015 was when we came out with the Excel. And so he would start on that Excel blend, and also on Omnitox. That was in 2015. In 2016 was when we came out with the Calm drink, and that would bring in that Sazandra and also all the liver protecting and help the body. In 2016, we came out with Soul Clear SI, which would bring in the Suma root, which helps us with physical strength, energy, stamina, and, balancing hormones. Why do I bring up Mark's case? This presentation was actually given to a whole group all around the world of ALS people, or people who are caregivers to ALS. So we have PALs and we have COWs, so caregivers of ALS. And what I did was I walked through Mark's journey, and what Lisa and I had done is actually gone back and looked up when all the herbs came out and why Mark made a progression. And it was when we came out with the Soul Clear, the XL, and then the Calm drink, which were impactful. And then the part with the cordyceps that was in the Kupawasu fruit. So the cordyceps ended up being in Soul Maca XD. Sorry, back then they named it something else, so I had that other name. And then the other part is adaptogens are either herbs, they can be mushrooms. So we have to realize that the reishi mushroom, the lion's mane, and there are a couple of other mushrooms that will classify in the part of having, the adaptogenic. That's why we turn around and brought the mushrooms in, and then all natural ingredients with powerful benefits. So the adaptogens have been used for centuries over the world to help soothe symptoms of stress. So the Russians won a gold medal one year, and when they won gold medals in running and different categories, they drug test them. And when they drug tested them, they all came out negative, and they couldn't understand because Russia is not supposed to win gold medals. And this was back in the 70s. And once they started seeing that, then guess what? That's how these plants came to America. So there's 3 stages. We're going to transition now of talking about stress. There's 3 stages of stress. We have our reaction, which is fight and flight. We have our adaptogen resistance, the way the body performs. And then we have our exhaustion, occurs when the body feels overwhelmed, emotionally drained, and unable to meet the demands. So the body responds with the adrenal glands that is that tiny organ, walnut looking organ on top of our adrenals. Once our body is in menopause, the adrenals take over. A lot of times the adrenals have already been overworked, overused. And so when the adrenals need to take over from the ovaries, the body doesn't have any of the nutrients that it needs in order to help. So that's why we go into menopause. We have more symptoms, is because we're in such a burnout mode. The adrenal glands aren't doing their job, and it's known as adrenal fatigue, or the body stops getting the hormones and neurotransmitters. So what it needs to assist in important functions such as sleep, memory, immunity, and emotions. But once we support those adrenal glands, it's going to help strengthen the immunity, and not in a negative way, because it's not a like immune stimulator, it's an immune modulator. And it's going to regulate hormone responses and guide the body through homeostasis, which means balance. So here's that chart where, what we really want to do is stay kilter and stay balanced. But when we have a stress response, different things bring different people into stress. I was recently telling someone a story about something that happened recently in my life. And the whole time the person kept saying, "Oh my God, there's no way I could have just sat there." And all I kept telling the person was, "Well, I went into prayer." And so some people in a stressful situation can go into logical thinking. They can go into being able to keep themselves balanced and bring prayer, bring greater good. That's the people who can show up at the scene of an accident and go into, caregiving mode, versus the person who's just freaking out. They cannot react in stress. And so they just go really into this reactivity. And you see, this becomes a normal in the body. This is something that we, if we take the adaptogenic herbs, it's going to help us stay a little closer to center, so we can come back and bring, our bodies back into that adaptive, and we don't go into that total exhaustion after a major function, or we have a wedding and after the wedding we're just totally exhausted, instead of staying and being back in balance. So one of the things is the adrenals start off high in the morning and they work their way down in order to go to sleep. If a person is elevated and can't go to sleep, what's normally happening is that the body is exhausted and it is not doing what it needs to do. So how does the body adapt, or work with adaptogens? It protects the body from negative impacts of stress and training psychological systems to better adapt resistance to stress. So the psychological part of the resistance becomes the way the brain either goes into overdrive, overthinking, overstimulation, versus being able to be in logical thinking, being able to actually go into a mode of helping and safety, versus not being able to think correctly through the process. So there's 3 N's. Normalize. Adaptogens are safe and have no significant side effects or contraindicators. I really, want you guys to tell that to people. It's like there are no contraindicators. Contraindicators means that concerns when using that herb, they're non-specific So adaptogens have a general non-specific action to improve resistance to all types of stress, including chemical, physical, and psychological. So most people with ALS is going to have a chemical. They have the physical, but a chemical is what is the imbalance that we're finding has caused the onset for the nerves or that, muscular MS type issues to start coming on with them. So they're also non-toxic. Adaptogens have a balanced, normalizing effect on the body's function, regardless of the origin of disruption or the direction of homeostasis. And one of the reasons we think that Mark had success was because of how it helped his body cope with the stress, because ALS is a huge stressor. When you face stresses, the digestion is ignored. So recently I had somebody, ask me this big old long question, and all I read in, like, I try to look when somebody's writing a bunch to me, I try to go look in and pinpoint what is the one point that they're trying to make. And so what I saw when this person was telling me they were doing the Bella program, they would da, but all she kept reiterating is how stressed the person is. So one thing I want you guys to realize is digestion is ignored when we're in stress. Why is Bella so important? Is because it's going to help with digestion with all the people. Also, inflammation is ignored. So guess what? If we're not sleeping at night, if we're not doing the things we need, it's not going to happen. And then the healing is ignored. So the effects are, people think they are healthy, but in all due respect, they're having all kinds of issues going on. How do adaptogens work? They work with the body's stress response, including the adrenal glands, which that is, so just to kind of give you a tidbit about the adrenal glands, the highest level of vitamin C is used by the adrenal glands. So why is Renew so important? That's my go-to with a lot of people. And I actually have a little adrenal cocktail that I come up with people who are in that much fight and flight. By supporting the adrenal glands, adaptogens help strengthen the immunity. They regulate the hormone responses, guiding the body to an overall sense of homeostasis and balance. And I know I keep repeating this, but one of the major things is, you see, regulate hormone responses. So many people come to me and say, oh my God, I have a huge issue with my hormones. You need to test my hormones. People go back and forth about their hormones, but they don't realize that the adrenal gland creates the cortisol and the aldosterone, which is the major hormones that get blown out. So what's the problem? Over long term, chronic stress can contribute to problems within the body's critical system. So that means that people start going into the heart palpitations. They'll either go into heart palpitations, which will be unexplained, and they don't know why it's happening, but they'll just get this little, ooh, what's that? And then the respiratory, so they'll have frequent coughs and colds, or that will be their go-to after every major undertaking. They will form, I call all the itises. So the musculoskeletal. So do they have rheumatoid arthritis? Do they have fibromyalgia? Which one is it? Gastrointestinal. So is it Crohn's, colitis, celiac? I call it all the C's in that aspect. Or is it just that they go from one extreme to the other with the stomach? And I say stomach, but it's more small intestines. And then we have the endocrine system, which the endocrine system is all of our hormones. We have 3 in the brain, which is going to be the hypothalamus, the pituitary, and the pineal gland, which is going to control everything. Then we have that nervous system. So the nervous system is going to be either our parasympathetic or our sympathetic, which is controlled by the central nervous system. and then the reproductive system, which will go into the ovaries or the testes for guys. Stress also accelerates aging and depresses immunity. Adaptogens can help decrease anxiety, calm the mind while stimulously giving you an energy boost. So it really helps in that area. So we have the 4 R's for adaptogen: recognition, response, recovery, and restoration and rejuvenation. So recognition. When confronted with a stressful event, the body's recognition of the stressor is the first step that is activated. Okay, I'm going to pause right now and I will be right back so y'all can talk. I stopped recording. Let's see. Wait, no. Let me. On our responses, once the stressor has been recognized, the next step for the body is to respond. So the part is that we see what's happening. Our body wants to be able to, stay level. And instead, what's happening is that it goes into overdrive. It pushes out cortisol. And will the body be able to come back down after the situation, or will it stay elevated for a longer period of time? So the recovery, after adaptogens have enabled us to mount the appropriate and effective response to the stressor, they will help us to recover. What I have seen with a lot of people, I did put it back on Becky, because it is recording. So it told me it is. So the part is that the body's going to recover much better with the adaptogenic herbs, because we will be able to get back into balance, and we will only have that small lagway rather than staying in stress all the time. And we actually start sleeping. And the restoration is that final process in the way that the adaptogens support our health so we can rejuvenate. What I have seen with some people that I have worked in a serious adrenal burnout, and y'all not going to like this answer, because people don't want to give up their Adderall. They don't want to give up they don't want to rest. They don't want to tell people no. They don't want to bring in, and it is literally 2.5 years that I see until that person will actually do the meditations or take on, yoga or some type of calming effect to where their body gets out, helps them to get out of the stress response, where they learn about how to sleep. So adaptogenic herbs, we have several of them, and ashwagandha is the one that's most spoke about out there because it's getting the most amount of publicity. People are, putting this one as a single, and that's why ashwagandha is spoke about. But to me, there's some that are so much more profound than that. But I'll get a lot of people who will tell me, oh, I take ashwagandha. And I say, that's great. Then let me introduce you to more. That's how I say it. So it's an evergreen shrub that grows in India. Its medicinal values come from the roots and the berries. Calms the mind, reduces inflammation, lowers blood pressure, and it boosts the immunity. Then we have the Siberian ginseng. It's a small woody shrub that grows in China and Russia, and its root is used for medicinal purposes. It boosts the immunity, increases physical stamina, improves cognitive function, and recommended for sexual health. Rhododala is commonly known as the Arctic root. It grows in Arctic and northern European regions. Its root is valued for its medicinal properties in all of these regions. So outside of the United States, this is something that is going to be like in China, this will be prescribed to you by your doctor. It's an energy booster. It combats fatigue, improves attention and concentration, and enhances the memory. Schisandra, I love these little berries. The woody vine and its fruit is used as a food and medicine. It is native to northern China and the Russian Far East. It helps to prevent early aging, regulates blood sugar, regulates blood pressure, and boosts the immunity. And then we have reishi mushroom, which is in a lot of our formulas, and it's highly valued for its many medicinal qualities, reducing stress, boosting the immunity, improving sleep and fatigue. Holy basil, which this one was added to our fast track, and it is loved for its outstanding calmness effect, and it can be steeped into a tea and added flavor for the recipe. Here's that maca, which we have the red, the black, and the yellow. It comes from the Andes Mountain and is known for its nutty sweet flavor. Maca is ideal for helping soothe the body's stress response. So the benefits of combining adaptogenic herbs in a formula, in a synergistic formula, with Soul Naturals, we put one adaptogenic herb or many adaptogenic herbs in what we call a combination blend. When in this synergistic herbal blend, it's created superior results. As a blend, we can bring 5 to 10 singles into one formula, which makes the synergistic property help the body in a greater way. So the effects of the herbs are balancing and harmonizing. The adaptogens provide I wonder if I wanted to put antioxidant support for far superior to vitamins, minerals, and herbs alone. So how to choose the right adaptogen for you? Seeking out the person who sent you this video or spoke to you about adaptogenic herbs is going to help you figure out which one is going to be best for you. We have many adaptogenic herbs, which is just wonderful information and will bring your body back into balance in a much easier way. So I want to thank you and appreciate you taking your time out to go ahead and watch our adaptogenic herb video today.